My name is Terry Shallow. I'm with the Running Industry Association. I appreciate everyone taking time out of your day to join us this morning, or afternoon for some of you. Today's presentation is relatively short, and of course we're going to leave time for questions. Holly Weiss is joining us, and her partner Andy Davis from 3 Dots Design are going to run through there's Andy, a fairly short presentation that will kind of lay out exactly, and the question was asked earlier, what is it that we're going to get here that we haven't seen if we've seen Holly before? Well, it's quite a bit more, and Holly's going to run through that. But again, if there's any background noise, we'd ask you to mute your phone, and then you can kind of jump in and unmute if you would like to ask a question, or again, you can type it into the box, and we'll make sure we get to your questions. So also, a lot of you have probably seen the listserv post that offered free or priority onboarding into our free or discounted freight program, and that will be extended to anyone who registers for this event. And I'll explain that at the end of the presentation, how that's going to work and how you can essentially make the registering for this, you can really save enough money by early onboarding to pay for this entire exercise and then some. So I'll get into that when Holly concludes. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Holly, and she'll tell you guys exactly what to expect at the Merchandising Summit. And again, thank you all for joining us. Feel free to jump in with questions as you have them. All right, Holly, take it away.
All right, thanks, Terry. Welcome, everybody. Can everybody see the screen okay? It's working for everybody just fine? You can see the slide. I'm assuming we'll get a message from you if you can't. So as Terry said, I'm just going to break this down in a little greater detail, so you really know what to expect if you come out here for a merchandising summit. Somebody already asked, already made the point that, hey, you've seen me speak at probably at RIA, I'm guessing, or maybe at Sports Style or one of the other events, or maybe you've come to one of our training sessions at one of the trade shows. And that's great, and I hope you've learned a lot, at those. What makes this summit a little bit different is that we're really going to be diving into these topics that I'm going to cover here in a second in a lot more detail. So, this is really an intensive developmental seminar that's going to give you a really detailed kit of tools to take back to your store and really make a quantifiable difference quickly with the way your store is laid out, or with the way product is merchandised, or a whole number of things. But I would say the biggest difference is that when I speak at TRE or at one of the trade shows, I have an hour. I have an hour to just kind of cover everything I can. Or I guess once in Chicago, I had several hours, and Andy and Mercedes, I kind of high-leveled some topics. But when you guys come to this event, we actually do a lot of hands-on training. We go into retail spaces. We take some of these concepts that we've only been able to talk about at a higher level and really break them down. So when you leave, it's not just like you got some ideas, you actually learned a lot of tips and concepts, and you're taking some hands-on, I think, hands-on ideas back with you, and a lot of tools. So that's a big difference. For those of you who, for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with us, I'm going to play a really quick video. It's like a minute long. Just gives you a quick background on what 3 Dots Design does and who we are. Oh, and you know what? It's an awesome. Whoopsie. I wanted to say, just turn your volume up as loud as you can on your laptop. We unfortunately aren't wired great here for this audio on the video, but if you turn your volume all the way up, you should be able to hear it pretty well. Here we go. It's an awesome sunny day in the middle of the summer, and you haven't heard back from us in a little while. There's a good chance we're out on a ride. I'm Holly Weiss, the owner of 3 Dots Design, and I'm also known as the visual visionary around here. We're a retail design and visual merchandising consulting firm. We're located in Boulder, Colorado. We do everything that falls under the retail umbrella, which includes anything from store design, fixture sourcing, design and development of POP and fixtures. We work with independent store owners as well as manufacturers to help highlight their products better at retail. I think one of the things that our clients would really tell you that they like about working with us is that we're really easy to work with, we're flexible, and we always have snacks.
Bringing 3 Dots into a project letting them look at what you have, what you've been through, and seeing what they can do for you is one of the best things you can do for your business.
Most importantly, they end up with a store they love, their customers love, and their sales are always going to increase after working with 3 Dots Design. All right, so just a little quick background on who we are. I wanted to throw this definition up really quickly because I think it's important when you're kind of thinking about what all we're going to be covering at this merchandising summit. Merchandising is a great definition. Any practice which contributes to the sale of products to a retail consumer. And I put this up because I want to stress that, you know, we're not just talking about how to hang singlets on a hanger and put them on the wall. I mean, certainly how to hang product is a piece of it for sure. But we're going to be, you know, we consider merchandising anything that contributes to the experience your customers have when they walk into that store. So from the layout of your product, from the traffic flow that you've created, from the personality and the vibe that is portrayed to your customer the second they look at your store, from the graphics to the messaging to the paint colors, you name it, it all contributes and it all falls under this umbrella of visual merchandising. And we're going to be covering all of that at the summit. So I just wanted to make that clear because a lot of people are like, well, I don't actually hang the clothing. It's not really my thing. I don't know how applicable this is. So, you know, we cover sort of, we go real detailed on a lot of the concepts, and then we go real big picture too to cover some of the bigger concepts as far as you know, store layout and design, approach to design and things like that. So I know Terry has emailed you all kind of some bullet points on the curriculum. I'm not going to get into, you know, our entire itinerary for the workshop, but I'm going to just kind of highlight some of our most popular sessions and the ones that I think really take a lot of the time and the focus at the workshop. So global retail trends, we always start off with this, and of course this is always changing because trends are changing, but we really want to break down what's happening out there in the world of retail. I know that when you're running your business, and a lot of times your head is down in the shop and it's very hard to like get out of there and get out of your own world and see what's happening, and I think it's very helpful and very important to stay in touch with that. So we talk about what's going on in kind of other channels and around the world and how that is affecting our channel. We talk about, this question comes up a lot. So many people come to our seminars because they're thinking about doing a remodel, or they want to do an update, or they want to do something, but they're just not sure it's worth the money. So we'll actually do a whole session that breaks down what you can expect to spend or to invest in a store remodel or an update, and what you can expect your ROI to be. So this is a super popular session. People always get a lot out of this one, and we really will go into the details of like all the main expenses in a project that you might, you know, be taking on. Floor plans and fixtures. Very, very tough to take on a fixture swap out in your store, as many of you have probably learned. It's hard to find the right fixtures. It's hard to find ones that are well made, that are affordable. So we provide a lot of resources in the summit at this whole workshop. We'll get into a lot of details of what's out there, which ones work better, which ones you should probably avoid, and then how that ties into your floor planning and your layout. And we'll get into a lot of details. Again, I've highlighted these sorts of topics in my presentations over the years at the trade shows, but we've never really been able to get into the nitty-gritty of it like we will here in Boulder. So I wanted to just stress too, if anyone has any questions while I'm speaking or throughout this presentation, feel free to jump in, either unmute your phone and say something, or your computer, or send a message over. So, okay, moving on to just a few more highlights on the curriculum. This is a big thing that people really miss in their specialty stores, and that's focal points. You know, when you walk into Target, there's focal points all throughout the whole store. You don't even notice it because they do such a good job. And they're critical to get customers through your shop and draw them through your space and keep them engaged and interested. So we'll do a whole session on this. How can you divide your store up effectively with visual cues, whether they're mannequins or graphics or paint colors or other ideas, and why it's so important. And if you've got them in your store now but they're not working, maybe we can assess that. So this is a big piece. Some other sessions, how to best use vendor POP. We get that question all the time, so we actually address it. We'll show some good and bad examples and the benefits of vendor POP and the disadvantages of using it sometimes. We'll give you a whole session on how to merchandise challenging product categories, specifically nutrition and accessories are two that come up over and over and over. People are always asking about ways to display their footwear to make it more interesting, so we'll do a whole session on inspiring shoe wall ideas. Retailer store analysis is always everybody's favorite, where before the summit starts, we'll give you an opportunity to send us several pictures of challenging areas in your store, and then we will actually discuss them in our seminar, and you can stay anonymous if you want, or you can jump right in and talk, lead a dialogue with other peers and myself and Andy, and we'll break it down for you and help you solve your problems so you can go back to the store with some ideas. So that gives you an idea of sort of our key points in the curriculum. There's certainly more sessions than we've listed, but those are some of the biggies. I'm going to move on from here to talk about, I don't know, some of the things that really make this workshop even a little bit more unique than just the curriculum. Many of you may already know this, but all of us at 3 Dots Design here, we've built our entire career around designing and improving specialty run and bike stores. So we're not just interior designers, or we don't just maybe know a little bit about merchandising or retail. We live and breathe in these channels. So chances are we have seen or built or solved a problem similar to something you're dealing with. So I just think that's a really important point. If you've got issues and challenges in your space or concerns about a new space or something like that, we've got years and years of experience in doing just that. So I think that's important. It's a very rare opportunity to really dive into these kind of these ongoing issues that specialty run retailers deal with. I don't know of any other resource that offers this sort of intensive training. So it's, we do it, we try to do it once or twice a year. So it's, you're getting a great opportunity through the RIA membership here to get a big discount on the training, and I hope you guys will take advantage of it. Again, there's a lot of one-on-one time to ask questions about your own store. Like I mentioned, you can send in pictures if you want, but in addition to that, if you want to pull myself or Andy aside, we'll carve out time, even if we have to stay later or come in earlier. There's little wiggle room in the schedule for this very type of thing, which I think is very beneficial. And then, as I hit on earlier, it's tough to get out of your own store and go see other good retailers out there and get ideas and get inspiration. We actually have a retail tour scheduled in the Merchandising Summit, where we'll take you downtown to some shops that we have pre-selected, of course, and set up some tours with, and a couple that we've designed and a couple that we were involved in, and they just are, they're all a little bit interesting in their own way. They're all doing retail very well. And it'll be, I think, a really inspiring tour for you guys, and a great opportunity to come home with a bunch of ideas. In addition to that, there's a few extras that I think make it fun. We're set in Boulder, Colorado. I know some of you haven't been here before, so we specifically, we made a point to have it end on Friday early afternoon, so that if you want to extend your stay through the weekend or until Saturday, and we'll be happy to help you coordinate logistics if you need that. Again, the hands-on training exercises, I think I alluded to this earlier, but we'll do some hands-on training in the summit, like in the training session at Perlazumi at the headquarters, but then we'll also go to a retailer here in town, especially retailer, and we'll apply everything you learned in a couple of the key categories in the store. And usually we divide up in teams and we do some hands-on exercises, and the retailers that have come to the sessions in the past have found this to be one of their favorite sessions. The exercises are just so helpful for everybody. Boulder's a foodie town. We've got a lot of amazing restaurants downtown, and we love food. As I said in my video, there's always snacks. So you're not going to be leaving this workshop hungry, I can guarantee you that. And we're going to give you an opportunity to really kind of get a taste of some of the fun Boulder, local restaurants we have here. And speaking of that, some of you may know Alan Lim. He's the sports physiologist from years in the bike industry. He's the co-author of 3 cookbooks and the founder of Scratch Labs. He's going to be speaking with us, but also because Scratch Labs is one of our sponsors, but he's also cooking an old family recipe for lunch on Thursday. He's an amazing chef. So that's a fun little perk. He's also a very entertaining speaker and extremely knowledgeable. So it'll be a great time to interact with Alan. Couple more things. We have some spare time scheduled in the curriculum, of course, for runs and hikes. The hotel you're staying in is you know, a half a mile away from, well, it's right out the door from the bike path, which you can hop on and follow the Boulder Creek. It's about a half mile away from some great trails, which we'll take you on if you want. We have that time scheduled. You've got free town bikes at the hotel that you can use, hop right on the bike path and go anywhere on, which is great little perk. Again, this is an amazing opportunity to really get together with like-minded retailers and, you know, network, share ideas, brainstorm, and that's you know, invaluable time. You always think that's going to happen at trade shows and people are so busy, it often doesn't. We're going to have a very intimate setting here, and there's a lot of time to really connect and engage with the other attendees. Moving on, I'm going to just give you a couple pictures here. My presentation, if you've come to them in the past, you know, they're loaded with visuals. Obviously, we think, you know, it's the easiest way to show what you can do to your store through great visual merchandising or store design is pictures. So this is a typical transformation, something you could expect if you walked into a classic old school running store. We didn't really go out of our way to find this wall. It just was in a store we were remodeling. This was their accessories. So we worked in the remodel. We really worked with them on, you know, what products should be really used on the wall, displayed on the wall, and which products are better on floor racks based on their size and their category. And, you know, we'll really work with you on how to assess all that. We turned their accessory wall, we took all these small parts and pieces, which are obviously very confusing and not very appealing, and we divided them into categories with the retailer. We taught them a better way to merchandise them. We put them on these floor racks so that they don't get lost, and we give them a much cleaner presentation. So that's a very tangible example, I think, of, you know, what you might be able to do after you're done with our, you know, with our sessions. Here's another example. This is Runner's Retreat, a pretty typical footwear wall, I think. You know, it's just kind of, it's been like that for 25 years. We did a remodel with them, and we really opened up the space, and we brought in some visuals, and we updated it all, and gave them a footwear wall like this instead. The pricing is cleanly displayed inside each shoe, and they just have a much more shoppable environment. So that's just a little teaser, a couple examples. There's hundreds and hundreds of images that we'll have throughout the sessions of the Merchandising Summit. And that really concludes my presentation. This is our website up here. If you want to go to look at more ideas and get some inspiration and, you know, just kind of get a sense of what we do, you can go to our 3dotsdesign.com website, and then Rocky Mountain Retail Camp talks a little bit more about our typical merchandising training sessions. So it might be fun for you to poke around on there as well and get some more information. So I'd love to open this up to questions, and if there aren't any, I think Terry has, you know, something else to add too. But anybody have any questions or anything I didn't cover that you were hoping I did?
Yeah, and feel free to unmute, you guys. You don't need to type your questions in. So. Got to be a question or two. Come on, you guys, don't be shy.
No, don't be shy. Was this helpful? Do you feel like you got a better sense of what to expect?
Yes, I do, and you answered my one question very well. And you know, my concern about the whole conference was not learning a lot of new things, because I've heard you talk probably 3 times. So that was very reassuring and what I needed to hear.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it.
You know, if I could jump in there, I've had a couple inquiries about traveling out to Boulder either early or staying late, and you was alluded to earlier in Holly's presentation. And so Holly is looking into ensuring that we can apply the group rate to the hotel. Of course, you can arrange other lodging if you want, but you know, extending the group rate we're going to attempt to do. So you just let us know, and we did that successfully at our recent buyers summits, where people wanted to come into Boston early or stay late, and that was no problem. So we'll work on that. In terms of airport transportation, that will be arranged for you, and so just want to make sure that you're comfortable with that. Any questions on that? Lodging, transportation, the kind of logistical stuff. Does anyone else have any other questions about anything? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. No? All right. Well, what I'd like to add here, guys, is that you know, this is Holly this is being discounted about $700 from the usual retail camps that Holly puts on. The RIA is subsidizing that, but that said, this is still, this is expensive. We recognize, we're asking, it's for a fairly significant investment to come out and join here, and the RIA is very interested in making that work for you. And if you saw the email or the post on the listserv yesterday or not, I'll explain that anyone who registers for this will be onboarded into our freight program on a priority basis. In other words, you'll be the first to go in. Now, the freight program we're projecting for your average account is going to have realize annual savings of $12,000 to $15,000. So we're talking about at minimum around $1,000 to $1,500 a month in savings. It's going to take 12 to 14 weeks to onboard everyone. So if you get in the front of the queue, that means you'll start saving sooner as opposed to 2 or 3 months in. So those savings, $2,000 or $3,000 will, by being the first into the program, will save you far more than what the expense of the summit would be. So by getting in early, we will accelerate your savings and create the savings that will allow you to, in essence, pay for this merchandising summit. So we thought we would extend that. And does anyone have any questions there? We hope that is enough to entice you to join the summit or the merchandising summit. And if there's no questions, I will pass it off to Holly, and we'll let you guys continue your day. I will save a copy of this recording and send it back out to you. So just feel free to ask any questions via email if you'd like to, and after you get that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Certainly reach out to me directly if you'd like to. If you want to call me or email me, you can go to our website at 3dotsdesign.com, and all the information is there, or go through Terry if you don't have my direct information. But thanks so much for taking a half hour out of your day. And, nobody has left our Rocky Mountain Retail Camp disappointed. So I do think you'll, really find it worth your time and investment. And I hope you'll join us.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone joining today.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Holly. Bye, everybody.
Hey. Bye.
Holly, why don't you stay on with me for a sec? Oh.